Sports. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's wins and losses, highs and lows. It's effort, respect, and dedication. The High School Sports Beat. Sports. It's who we are.
Hello everybody, welcome and thank you for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We continue our look back at 10 years of covering Section 5 sports, and we begin with a near perfect season with Penfield Girls Basketball. Here's Bill Pucko and Brian Mazurowski from January of 2012.
And in the number one slot, the Penfield Girls Basketball team. The Patriots are off to a 10-0 start, winning by an average of almost 25 points per game. Brian Mazurowski has their story.
A perfect year would be considered a lofty goal for any team, but at 10-0 over halfway through their season, the Penfield girls basketball team just might have perfect within reach.
I think a lot of it is how experienced we are. We call the young kids the kids that just came up on varsity, but they're actually juniors, which is weird because we call them the young kids, but to have kids that have that much experience is going to set you up for a good start no matter where you are.
It's been more than a good start, though. Penfield cruised through the first half of their season, winning every regular season game by at least 10 points. Many teams would use a start like this to ease up a bit, but not the Patriots.
I just don't think these guys are programmed that way. They play so hard in practice every day that I really think it transfers onto the court during games.
To ensure there was going to be no sense of invincibility, the team took part in a mid-season tournament with some stiff competition.
We went down to, it's called the Amsterdam Showcase, and it's the best tournament in New York State over the holiday weekend.
It was different because a lot of the games we've had here, we've won by a lot. In those games, we got to practice closing the games and not letting them catch up.
The Patriots worked on closing out games and adjusting to new circumstances.
We got to be in a place where the reffing was a lot different, so it was two of the most physical games that I've ever played in.
Oh, they don't call anything down there, so it's really tough coming back here, and then like the touch fouls get called, whereas like kids were really, nobody cut through the lane and didn't get hit. It was like the NBA back in the 80s with the Pistons and that. If you were cutting through the lane, somebody's going to nail you.
In-season tests like the Amsterdam tournament certainly helped the Patriots, but the girls of Penfield don't need to be pushed by coaches to be their best, as many take it upon themselves to prepare for the basketball season through other sports such as lacrosse. By playing multiple sports together, the girls have developed a great bond within the team.
Well, our chemistry on the court is really good, and like we're all best friends, and like I hang out with everyone on my team, like they're the only people I hang out with, and it shows on the court because we're all worried about the team instead of like our personal stats.
One of the biggest things that helped our team chemistry is the Eastside YMCA, because the girls will call each other all in the summer and in the fall and say, let's go play 3-on-3. There's always a place for them to shoot, and they've really become good friends off the court because of their love of the game.
All of the hard work is paying off so far for Penfield, who's keeping an eye on their main goal for the year.
Well, I want to win sectionals because we lost last year in finals and it was not fun. So I want to win sectionals and I want to win states.
I mean, our overall goal is to definitely win sectionals this year. We're really going to push ourselves, and that's where we eventually want to see ourselves, or maybe farther.
So it's a sectional championship or bust for the Patriots, or at least most of the Patriots.
My goal is to get better every day. It's the process of it. And my other goal is to play games until there's no more games to be played. So I don't want to say the goal is sectionals and then we win sectionals. If we win sectionals, then what? I want the goal to be, we want to keep playing games, as long as there are games to be played in New York State.
Brian Mazurowski joins us now. Look, I remember the Penfield cross country and the volleyball team especially. Great success in the fall. they've had a good year so far, and there's some reasons for that, aren't there?
Absolutely. And talking with the girls and talking with Coach Vogt, a vast majority of these girls on the basketball team play a second sport, and the one thing that makes the coach really happy is that they're thinking in terms of basketball while they're playing these other sports, and that's got to help them out on the court immensely.
And we see a lot of these girls come lacrosse season, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Brian, thank you very much.
The Patriots would go on to win the Section 5 Class AA title over Gates Shiloh and ran their record to 24-0 before falling in the state championship to Cicero North Syracuse and the amazing Isaiah Stewart. Coming up next, we go inside Section 5 Sports with our guest Brian Donohue, HFL Athletic Director. We'll have that when the High School Sports Beat returns. Hello and welcome back to the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates, and now we go inside Section 5 Sports with our special guest this week, Athletic Director from Honeoye Falls, Lima, Brian Donohue. Let's talk quick about, first of all, I think it's a testament to the job that all the athletic directors have done in this area. The way that sports has been going relatively uninterrupted through this school year it's really amazing the things that have been put into place to make that happen, and that's kudos to you and your colleagues, I think.
Thanks, Dave. I think behind the scenes, the Department of Health, especially for us, Monroe County, has helped tremendously too, and it certainly is a different year with the protocols. We never had to worry about checking people in or signing people in or making sure people have hand sanitizers or making sure our athletes have screened themselves before they arrive on campus. And as you know, some of them are remote, so they've got to do that before they come on campus. So it's been unique, and it's been a different feel at games. Normally at games, that's your culminating moment where you can relax and see the product on the field. But really, there's so much more at stake right now that it's much more intense than it normally is.
It is kind of weird that nowadays testing in schools is taken on a whole new meaning than what it used to be. But talk about specifically at HFL how things have been going and how it's been working out between the coaching staff, the kids, the faculty, everything as far as keeping your teams up and running.
So I think one of the things that's going on that we did, I thought, really well right from the beginning is our K through 6 came every day. They still come every day. So they never miss a day. It's regular school for them. We were able to minimize our class size a little bit, spread out a little bit in our buildings. Our 7 through 12, what we decided to do there was to have half the kids come one week and the other half come the other week. And part of that was in case we had a COVID case, we wouldn't be mixing groups. That group that was here would just go home. The next group would come in. So we've had some consistency since September. And I know a lot of schools are announcing now bringing back elementary and coming back full time, but we've been fortunate enough to be able to do that since September. So in terms of faculty, we work very closely with the nurse. We have a liaison with the Department of Health. We have had COVID cases. We have had programs interrupted, but we've been able to minimize that because of the fact that, we have contact with the health department. We have protocols in place. And one of the biggest protocols, obviously, is wearing the masks. And what we learned early on is when we did run into COVID cases, if our kids were masked, we were less likely to be shut down or less likely to be quarantined. So we've been trying to hammer that message home with our kids since day one, and they've been really good about following it. So those things have helped.
Talk about how important it was to get the athletics going again, to kind of have something that felt a little normal for these kids to come back to after the disappointment of last spring, to get things going again. It's just been huge, hasn't it?
It has, and I'll give you a couple examples. I remember last spring, actually two Februarys ago, right when the pandemic was about to hit us, I remember having a conversation with my superintendent, and he looked at me and he said, they're going to probably cancel spring sports. And they go, nah, there's no way they're canceling sports. No way, it's never happens in New York State. Well, we were shut down for a very long time, and to show the evidence of how important sports are to kids, I think one of the things that's happened is we have lots of kids, and I'm sure we're not the only school that this is true for. We have lots of kids that have tried different sports, or when their sport was on pause, tried another sport just to be engaged, just to be active, just to be with their peers. And we've had several athletes do that. So, and then from the parent perspective, I mean, our parents have been so relieved that their kids have been able to participate in sports again. It's such an important part, and it goes well beyond the scoreboard. It's not about that. It's about being with their peers, being in a competitive situation, being with them socially. And even though our seasons have been compressed, and maybe we aren't competing for state championships, that social piece that it almost feels normal. It really does, even though it's a different season. You're playing with masks, you're compressed, but it feels normal to be at a basketball game, seeing our kids play, or at a wrestling match, or at a football game. So it's been really important. And I always said too, to be honest with you, the mental health of our kids, we really need to be conscientious of that. And we really had to weigh, and I'm glad the state did what they did, because you have to weigh the isolation versus the disease. And we were getting to a point of over a year here where really I felt our kids were struggling mental health wise. So
Brian, thank you so much for taking some time to join us, and best of luck to you and the rest of the Cougars down there at HFL for the upcoming spring season.
Great. Thanks for having me, Dave.
All right, take care. Coming up next, this week's Making the Grade nominee, and later we flash back to our first look at Isaiah Stewart. We'll have that when the High School Sports Beat returns. Welcome back, and thank you for watching the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. Making the grade this week is Brockport's Jenna McNulty. The Blue Devils senior is a team captain on the soccer team, where she was named first team All-County in 2019. Jenna carries a 4.0 GPA and is a member of the National Honor Society, as well as a Key Club member. Outside of the classroom, Jenna volunteers with the Junior Blizzard soccer team, and in Food Link, the Hilton Food Shelf, and Vacation Bible School. Jenna plans to continue playing soccer in college while majoring in business. For being a great role model for young athletes, as well as displaying excellent sportsmanship and strong academics, this week Jenna McNulty is making the grade. If you've got a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them in to mtg@rocksportsnow.com. And now here's some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in our Section 5 Spotlight. Congrats to Victor's David Ferentz, who signed a 2-year deal with the NHL's Nashville Predators. Red Jacket football went 5-0 for the shortened 8-man football season, led by senior Logan Kiefer, who averaged about 375 yards a game with almost 30 touchdowns in just 5 games. And finally, congrats to the East Boys soccer team for winning the RCSD Spring Soccer Championship. Congrats to Coach William Cybowski and all the Eagles for bringing home trophies during this special spring season. Well, coming up next, the 9th grader McQuaid, who is now a Detroit Piston. Well, his story with High School Sports Beat continues.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on the High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We flash back now to December of 2015 and our first look at Isaiah Stewart. Here's Bill Pucko.
We go to McQuaid, where the Knights are trying to live up to their basketball tradition. Behind a young game king.
Starting at forward, a 6'7" freshman wearing number 33, Isaiah Stewart!
Isaiah Stewart is a name you'll be hearing a lot over the next several years. He is a 6'7", 215-pound, wait for it, freshman at McQuaid. He's just 14 years old and a potential game changer.
A lot of people compare me to other great players that came from Rochester and said that I can be the next one.
Well, Isaiah's a super talent, and the best thing about Isaiah is he wants to work, he wants to get better, and he understands that there's a ton of good players out there, and for him to play at a high level, he's got to put in a ton of work and keep getting better. So his mentality and his just kind of demeanor as a young kid is really the most impressive thing.
Where do you think your game is? What do you do? What can you do better?
I'm good at I'm just I'm good right now. I know there's a lot of improving. I just want to work on more ball handling and get into the basket, jump shot of course, and just working on my game. But as of right now, I think I should improve more better and it's shooting.
Stewart is generating the kind of buzz that Thomas Bryant provided at Bishop Kearney a couple years back. Bryant is now at Indiana University. Stewart's father was born in Jamaica. Isaiah embraces his roots.
It's great because, if you never heard of the Jamaican basketball player, Patrick Ewing, that's probably my favorite basketball player of all time. And, for him to be from Jamaica, my dad's Jamaican, and, just made me want to play basketball.
Did you expect such a fuss to be made over you so early?
Not really, but, I am working on my game, and, for me to see that it's paying off, then I'm very proud of it.
Expectations are high at McQuaid, where basketball has a rich heritage. But the Knights haven't so much as won a sectional title since 2003, when Coach Jack Leisure was a junior starting guard, alongside Mr. New York basketball Tyler Ralph. That team won a championship in the second of back-to-back state title game appearances.
There's so many good teams out there. Even the team I was on was #2 in the nation, and we're down 7 with 3 minutes left in the state final. So to win a state final, to get that far and to be that kind of team takes a lot of experience. It takes a lot of work outside of the season, inside the season, and these guys are certainly capable of that.
Leisure is a direct link to McQuaid's glory days under Coach Joe Marchese, under whom the Knights won 306 games over 20 seasons, 8 sectional, and 3 state titles.
Well, Coach did a great job of motivating, I think. I think what he did was he made everyone buy into something that they believed was bigger than themselves, and it was always about the team. He never let anybody believe that there anything going on with them personally was more important than the unit. So no matter what great players we had or what things were going on with the team, everybody knew that team was the most important thing, and we sacrificed ourselves for the greater good of the team.
How are things going for you? First year in new school, how's everything settling in?
It's going great. I just want to thank all the families, the staff, and coaches, and everyone that just helped me get to the point where I'm at now. Working hard in the classroom, on and off the court. It's going very good. I like it.
The difference between a 14-year-old kid and an 18-year-old kid you get on a varsity basketball team is huge, just in what they can handle, cognitively, and then also just, the things they're going through and their development as a kid. So, yeah, you certainly have to treat things differently, but when it all comes down to it, they're all just out there playing basketball, and they that's a language in itself that they all can understand.
Stewart scored a career-high 22 points in a win over Franklin, making modest gains so far. McQuaid is 3-3.
We'd like to thank the athletes, teams, and coaches in Section 5. If you've got a story you'd like to share with us, please let us know. Send an email to rocksportsnow@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Be safe. We'll see you next week for more of the High School Sports Beat.